For a smaller bar, I think, generally for me, I think around 10 cocktails is very easy and very doable. For a much larger space, I think you can tap into that 15, 20 cocktail range. I think with that, you can add in a lot of parity in, and we can get into this a little bit later, of different pricing structures. So having sections of cocktails that are maybe reserve or higher priced items next or alongside your typical house menu cocktails.
Hey guys, this is Sid Patel, CEO of Bartender Spirits Awards and Beverage Network. We are here live from Chicago at the 6th edition of Bartender Spirits Award. I have Anna Thorn here, Director of Beverage Operations, Spirits especially, I guess, and other beverages at Hogsalt, which is a fine restaurant group and a bar group, out of Midwest area, mainly in Chicago. So I'll have her talk more about that, but we're going to deep dive into profitability and running a successful bar program, right? So Anna, thanks for joining me here.
Of course, happy to be here.
Let's talk about, how do you define a good bar program? Let's just start there. What does it mean? What does it do?
A great bar program brings people in. I think it's from both behind the bar and in front of the bar. You want to have a strong bar team that is able to retain guests. I think have fun, be creative, and create a really good experience for the guest.
Great. So let's now go deeper into those kind of things, right? So there is a menu, there is consumer foot traffic, upselling, and profitability, right? So we'll break it down. So let's go with the menu engineering, right? Obviously, depending on the concepts, we'll come up with menu, but what are some basic elements that if you were a consultant auditing a bar, what would you look at in the menu and what would you fix?
If I were consulting and auditing a bar menu, the first things I would identify are the cocktails that are driving the program.
Okay.
Cocktails that are high movers, high volume movers, things that people will most likely gravitate to. Typically, those cocktails have generally clear spirits, really easy and approachable, very palatable, good people-pleasing spirits or good people-pleasing cocktails. With that, I would add in some parity of a few cocktails that garner a little bit more complexity. We'll tap into the demographic that is looking for something more experimental, something a little bit more fun, and making sure that there's a good flow of expression all throughout the cocktail menu.
What about the size? What is an ideal size of a menu?
Oh, that's a really good question. I think it depends on the size of the space.
Okay.
For a smaller bar, I think generally for me, I think around 10 cocktails is very easy and very doable. For a much larger space, I think you can tap into that 15, 20 cocktail range. I think with that, you can add in a lot of parity in, and we can get into this a little bit later, of different pricing structures. So having sections of cocktails that are maybe reserve or higher priced items next or alongside your typical house menu cocktails.
Okay. So just on that, basically, on laying out now the menu. So you think by price has worked well, by category, what have you seen? Again, obviously, I understand it depends on the concept and the type and the profile, but we're just talking about the main street common bar, let's say, what have you seen is the best tip that you can give them that this is a good readability for the consumer?
I think readability for me, I like menus laid out from lightest to heaviest in whatever way that you want to conceptualize that. So lighter, more effervescent or citrus-driven cocktails up top, and deeper bodied cocktails closer down to the bottom. Is something that I gravitate toward.
I understand. Is there a majority of is there a way where you can say, okay, most of the bars are listed like this, so it makes sense to actually make a menu which people are used to it, right? So is that the maximum way bars normally list their products?
No, I've seen a lot of different creative ideas. I think depending again on the concept, bars will group cocktails by spirit. So say all of your vodka cocktails or clear spirits are in one section. All of your whiskey, rum cocktails are in another section. I've seen cocktail menus divided by stirred versus shaken. And then also delineated by price.
Got it. And what kind of 2 or 3 things that you normally add in the menu that can drive a conversation with the bartender. All right, let me ask this question to the bartender, or any tips where a bartender can come in and or a sommelier, let's say, can hand sell or can start a conversation.
I think I always love tapping into local products. I think that's a really easy, entryway for any conversation starter between a bartender or sommelier and their guest.
What's your process of coming up with a roster or running an efficient time versus staff people part of the operation?
First and foremost, analyze obviously how many bartenders I need to have staffed, at what times I need to staff them in the most concentrated way. Do I need 4 bartenders between 2 and 6 p.m. or do I need 4 bartenders between 6 and 10 p.m.? So alternating in times obviously will have an impact on labor there.
Okay, and on the aesthetics or the deco, like have you got any tips on creating a tempo where again I'm guessing, but let's say after 7 p.m. you slowly increase the music, 10 o'clock a little bit more. Give us some what's behind the scenes.
Music goes up, lights go down. Okay. You're really setting the mood. And again, depends very much on the concept, but just creating that very comfortable environment for your guests. I always want to say that you want to treat your guests like they are in your own home, and you want to make them as comfortable as possible. So really tapping into and emphasizing all of those moments, such as managing the temperature, managing the music, managing the lighting, things
Got
like
it.
that. Yeah.
So one last one on me giving you the business hat now, right? Like totally. Shrewd, the businesswoman. Yeah. So you are here. You are consulting to this bar again. So what are the things that come to your mind immediately? Let me check all this. What are the 10 checkpoints that you would really go deeper, just on bullet points? If you say, all right, menu, staff, cost, where are the costs?
I look at ordering and I look at the cadence of ordering. How frequently are you ordering? Are you ordering twice a week? Are you ordering once a week? And how are you laying that out against what your sales are? Are you analyzing that on a week-to-week basis? Are you changing that bi-weekly? What does that process look like, and how much flexibility is there within your budget? Do you have cost of goods sales goal? What type of percentage are you working off of? And where are those little holes that we can start to fill in? Where can we expand? Where can we minimize? That's probably first and foremost what I would look at. With that, I would also take into consideration what's on the menu, what's moving, what's not moving. Do you have items that have stagnated? Do you have items that are flying off the shelf? How do we optimize?
What is the definition of what's not moving? Let's say, what is like 6 bottles in a month?
It depends on the space.
Okay, understood.
If you're sitting on a bottle for 6 months of higher end something, like
it's okay like that.
Yeah, that's not going to move the needle that much. But if you're you have a lot of dead stock, that's okay. But how can we optimize and move that out?
Understood.
Or bring attention to it.
Okay.
I would look at the menus. Staff education, I think, is so important all the time.
It's a big one, yeah.
It's a big one, especially with those different items that aren't moving as much. Okay. How can we get staff excited about it? How can we enlist any type of education for them to then relay to the guest to pass along? Looking at sales, looking at what you're purchasing, looking at the cadence of ordering, looking at what's on the menu, things that are moving, things that are not. Are there any seasonal changes that we need to make to the menu?
Any closing remarks on maybe the bar managers, especially on sort of optimizing and creating profitability? What is your take on 2024? Like, what do you think this is where we should do more to drive profits?
I think really tapping into what the consumer wants, what the guest wants. No matter what, if the guest isn't coming into your restaurant or coming into your bar, then there's no profitability to be had. So always making sure that they are taken care of.